Hey, this is Marilyn Gigliotti.
Hey, this is Brian O'Halloran.
Hey, everybody. My name is Scott Schiaffo, actor best known as the Chulies Gum Guy from the film Clerks.
And welcome to Clerks Minute.
You're listening to Clerks Minute.
And I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Clerks Minute, the show where we break down the 1994 Kevin Smith classic, one Rick Derris minute at a time. I'm Blake.
I'm Kyle.
And on the line today, we have a very special celebrity guest, one of the stars of our minute on the screen right now, Rick Derris himself, Ernie O'Donnell. Ernie, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How's everybody out there?
Pretty good. We are obviously watching Clerks minute by minute. Before I even get into what's going on here, what do you think of the format of our show? We had Marilyn and we've had Scott on, and what do you think of the format of our show?
I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, I like that you're breaking down the movie minute by minute. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that, and actually, it could take a while if you were ever at any of Kevin's Q&As. When he breaks something down, it usually takes about 3 hours a minute. So,
we've been to one of his Q&As. We completely get it.
Yeah.
So,
but it's good stuff.
Yeah. So let's get started here. Well, let's go back to your history with this movie. Obviously, back when you started this movie, what were you thinking when Kevin came up to you and said, "I want to do Clerks"?
And I mean, obviously, I knew Kevin was a brilliant writer from working with him since, grammar school and high school and stuff like that. And then when he went off to film school, he called me from Vancouver and said that he had a script that he wanted me to read. So I said, all right, well, get it to me. So he actually came back here, handed me the script. I read it. And to be honest, nothing like that had never really been done before, especially to that level of the way our generation spoke. So to me, initially, since we both grew up Catholic, I found it to be a great story, awesome characters. But to me, I thought he was going to get like an X rating because of the vulgarity and the subject matter. So that was a concern of mine initially. But as far as the story and the writing style, I thought it was brilliant.
Well, I know you were originally going to be playing Dante. Tell the people that don't know what happened with that.
That's kind of a tricky situation. I mean, Kevin wrote the part of Dante for me originally, with me in mind. And I think basically I'm not going to get into all the messy details, but basically what it comes down to, from what I think, is that I think he envisioned me as Dante, knowing that he had acted with me before, and knew that I could pull it off. But I think when he saw Brian O'Halloran in that audition, I think something clicked in his head, and he was like, you know what? This guy's really Dante. And, I never really got the shot to show him what I would do with Dante. But at the end of the day, he made the right choice with Brian, because Brian just, nailed that character as far as, what he was. I mean, I would have brought something totally different to Dante, meaning that I don't want to use the word sappy for the character. I would have been had a little bit more swag as far as Dante, I think. And I don't think that's what Kevin was looking for.
Yeah, that definitely does change the entire Dante character. Am I right, Kyle?
Yeah, it would actually make more sense as to what women see in him.
A valid point. Yeah, a very valid point. It is funny because we're talking to, for those listening, we're actually talking to Ernie on a video line on Google Hangouts, and we have the movie up on the screen, and it's such a younger version of you on the right side of our screen here. It is pretty funny.
What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying we're all younger. We were all younger in the 90s.
Yes, we were.
So I'm not gonna say anything negative there. But take us behind the fact that you ended up becoming Rick Derris. How did that happen? That's one of my favorite roles in this movie. It made me laugh.
Well, when he decided to tell me that he was going to give the role to Brian O'Halloran, my first thought was, well, I went through a couple lists of characters. I said, well, am I going to play Jay? Am I going to play Bob? Am I going to play this one? And he's like, no, you're going to play Derris. And I was kind of like, Derris? And he goes, yeah. He's like, that's you. And I was like, okay, I get it. You know, because it's kind of pompous and cocky, and I was always with the ladies when we were growing up in high school and in grammar school, so I get it where he came from with that. But I mean, I had a blast playing that character. I nailed everything in one shot. It was all one take. I showed up in costume. He didn't tell me what to wear. I actually showed up with some sort of setup, and he loved it. And we shot my stuff really quick, and it was really cool.
Well, I would love to know, I've asked this with other people on here, what's it like to work with Kevin and in the director's chair? I mean, that's got to be interesting as his friend.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a lot of films with Kevin, you know, as far as, you know, Jersey Girl and Red State and Jay and Bob Strike Back, Dogma. And I have even visited the set of him on, you know, other movies. And his style is like no other. The whole crew is very comfortable with him. He lets people do their job. And I don't think I've ever seen Kevin admonish anybody in a negative way on set. He always does things when he wants to address things, if something's wrong, in a really great fashion to make everybody feel positive. And, you know, not like, he's never a dickhead. You know what I'm saying? He's always really great. And the craft services were always the best on Kevin's films. Always.
That's funny. That's it was funny. I think Scott might have said the exact same joke when he was on here.
Yeah. He's very big in taking care of the crew and keep getting out of their way and letting them do their job. And that's, you know, and as far as the actors, he lets the actors breathe and do their thing too. I mean, of course, they have to stick to the word on the page. Kevin's infamous for that. But he writes brilliantly, so why shouldn't you?
Well, it's funny. We were actually doing a different minute earlier today, and we were actually noticing that the only edits we were seeing in the script, because we have the script up from dailyscript.com for those who want to follow along with us. And I have the script up, and I follow along, and the only edits we've seen is more cursing. We've been laughing about that as we've gone along in the movie. And the only time people ever ad-lib is just add more cursing.
All the way from grammar school and high school, all the comedy sketches that we did, all the plays that we did, and anything original that me, him, and Mike Bellicose had did in our original comedy troupe, I would give ideas. Kevin would write it. Ultimately, it would become Kevin's script. And he hated when I deviated from that. And the thing was, we would never rehearse. Like, we would learn it, and what you got on stage was the first time that you ever saw what we were doing.
Wow.
So sometimes I would elaborate a little bit on some lines, and when I got off stage, Kev would be like, "What the hell are you doing? You're not supposed to say that." He knew every word.
Of course.
He's like, "You messed that line up." I said, "I didn't mess it up. It just I changed it a little bit." So that's been like that since 1980, 85, 86. He's been like that.
Wow, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's funny because we always hear about that. I think it's on the documentary. It's a joke on the documentary about how Kevin is like that with the scripts. So what can you actually tell us behind the scenes about Kevin as a human being, as a friend? Because you're probably the closest we've had on here to how close to Kevin in history and everybody else. How is he as a person to talk to and hang out with outside of this show?
Well, I've been friends with Kevin for almost 40 years now. And everybody in the View Askew universe considers me an OG. And I'm probably the original OG next to his cousin Johnny, who played Coey London in Clerks. But outside of all the movie stuff, when I get around Kevin, the first thing I do obviously is asking how he is, his family, his mom, and stuff like that. Because I've known his mom my whole life, and she's a great woman, and I love her to death. But I try not to get into the business stuff with him, the movie business. We talk about the past, our friends. He's always asking about people that we grew up with, people he hasn't seen in a long time. So I kind of give him a heads up of what's been happening and what people are doing, and we just shoot the shit. We talk about old school rap, we talk about movies, we talk about our families, and then we'll get into a little bit of the movie business. And that being because I started my own production company, so now I'm getting into the movie, the production side. So I'll ask Kevin for advice on certain things, but I try not to, talk to him about shit that most people would talk to him about.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, we have a conversation that lasts. We get together. Sometimes it's very brief and it's to the point. But then when I can get him for a while, we'll sit there for 3-4 hours and just shoot the shit and, just catching up.
That's always a good thing. That's always fun. What are you up to right now, Ernie, actually, for people who'd like to know?
Well, like I said, I started my production company in 2015, and I produced a horror movie called 100 Acres of Hell, which will be coming out soon. It's all finished. We're done. We're just finishing up post-production. I co-star in that, and I've always wanted to do a horror movie, and I think this was a good way to get my feet wet as far as producing. I had a blast doing it. It was really good. I mean, it's obviously a lot of hard work. I also got an animated sitcom series in development, and I got 2 scripts. One is being looked at by Universal and one being looked at by Paramount, that we're hopefully trying to get off the ground with another partner of mine, Stacey Toy. So it's going to be a good year in 2018. Not to mention shooting Clerks is out there that everybody knows about, that I was an associate producer on that. And that's doing really well and winning a lot of awards, which we're really happy about.
Oh, yeah, talk about shooting Clerks, because we've talked to Chris Bain on the show, on here, and he talked about him being in there. What's shooting Clerks? Talk about it for us.
Well, obviously, they talked to a lot of people before they got to me. When they got to me, they were like, now we have the Holy Grail. They said, we need to get all this information that nobody else knows to fill in all the voids of the early stages of Kevin's, career to making Clerks. So they talked to me for a long time. I gave them a lot of information, kept a few things out that I thought might be a little sensitive, obviously. But generally what you see in Clerks is pretty much what happened. They elaborated a little bit, which is fine, but these guys were pros. I mean, I just was really shocked by their dedication and tenacity and how well they did everything. And I couldn't be prouder of these guys and what they did with shooting Clerks and how they represented Kevin and his upbringing as far as Clerks is involved. I mean, the first time I met these guys was in Leonardo in front of the original Quick Stop, dressed as a cop. And I was dressed as a cop because that's my character. And I rolled up in my truck in my cop uniform with guns, badges, everything, all legit stuff because I have friends in law enforcement. And I jumped out of the car and started giving them a whole bunch of shit for loitering, and they thought I was the real cop because I pretty much speeded up to the building, slammed on the brakes, got out of the car. They didn't realize who I was at first because I had my hair slicked back, I had sunglasses on, and gave them a good scare, but it was funny, and they loved it, and we had a great shoot.
That sounds like a lot of fun. It does sound like a lot of fun. I can see them losing it with that. That would be funny.
Oh yeah, they're a bunch of great guys. They really are.
Oh, cool. We have yet to see the movie. We want to see it, and we just haven't had any way of getting it to us. So we have to figure out a way to get this movie to us so we can watch it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean they did a tour of the East Coast, the West Coast. They're out in the UK now. They just screened it in London last night. and it went really well. Like I said, it's won a shitload of awards so far, and hats off to these guys.
Well, that is absolutely awesome, and we will be covering that.